Well, Donald Trump has cooked up a new plot, a new revenge plot. It's going to use the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, based in Miami, a guy named Jason Cannon. I'll tell you about him in a minute, along with Judge Aileen Cannon in Fort Pierce, 70 miles away, to go after Donald Trump's political enemies and try to indict and jail them, including Barack Obama. There's 30 new subpoenas that have come out through Quinonez's office, Redding Quinonez's office. 2 line prosecutors have thrown in the towel and said, we are not comfortable going after this quote unquote grand conspiracy theory to try to imprison Barack Obama. And they quit. That has not stopped the hard-charging MAGA representative for Donald Trump in the Southern District of Florida office, an office he used to be a prosecutor in, Redding Quinonez, and apparently got poor reviews for incompetence. He now heads the whole office. Surprise. And now he's going to convince the American people that this is not retribution, that this has a merit and good faith basis under the Department of Justice manual, by driving 70 miles north to Fort Pierce, where there's only one judge. Her name is Aileen Cannon, in order to impanel a grand jury. Are you kidding me? And I'm watching it all unfold. We're going to cover it right here on Legal AF Wednesday. MSNBC broke the story. Wall Street Journal, New York Times talked about it too. I'm down in Florida, down in the Miami area. Let me tell you what I know. Jason Redding Quinonez was put on the local trial court, state court, for about a year, having been in the Air Force, having been a military attorney, having failed and almost flunked out of being a federal prosecutor in Miami. It was so bad he brought, apparently, according to the Miami Herald, a discrimination claim, said he was being discriminated based on his race. I'm not quite sure what that is. He's Cuban American. I'm not quite sure what his race has to do with anything, but he certainly... There is reporting he got bad reviews for incompetence. That's perfect for Donald Trump. He doesn't need competence. He needs fealty and loyalty. And so he called, according to this new reporting by MSNBC, he called a very unusual meeting in the last 48 hours in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami, pulling together the major crimes unit, which is about 30 to 40 prosecutors, and having a meeting with them about this grand conspiracy theory. Now, the subpoenas were signed off by the number 3 in the office, the executive assistant U.S. attorney named Manuelo Reboso. Very unusual, violates all sorts of procedures in that office. It's supposed to be done by a line prosecutor assigned to the case, but no line prosecutor wants to be involved with the case. This case is being brought by the chief legal officer of the United States of America. His name is Donald Trump. You might have heard of him. And in addition to all of that, you've got Pam Bondi allowing it to happen. But think about the connection here between the United States U.S. Attorney's Office and Aileen Cannon, who helped Donald Trump out in Mar-a-Lago, the only judge in 200 years that found that a special prosecutor was improperly appointed by the Department of Justice's Attorney General, and therefore quashed his indictment before he even won office. So of course they want to get back to Aileen Cannon. She's in their back pocket. Recall, or I'll tell you for the first time, that when they were putting their Department of Justice together, there was a leak that she was going to be the Attorney General for Donald Trump before Matt Gaetz and before Pam Bondi. And that was never denied. She knows it. She knows where her bread is buttered. So there's plenty of grand juries in Miami. I've been to all the federal courthouses in Miami. I've been to the federal courthouse in Fort Pierce too, 70 miles away. Is it a little suspicious, don't you think, that Jason Redding Quinonez is running his entire team 70 miles up 95 to get to a federal courthouse at the very tippy top of his jurisdiction, of his district, just because Aileen Cannon is there? Now, the 30 different subpoenas are supposed to come out from a line prosecutor, but no career prosecutor wants to do this. This is all politically motivated. Main justice in Washington, our crash test dummy of a attorney general in Pam Bondi, who should lose her bar license, is taking command from the chief legal officer, Donald Trump, to go after his political rivals. Allegedly, they're going over the Russia collusion investigation and to see if in some way Barack Obama tried to interfere with the election. I don't know if you recall, but he won the 2016 election. So I don't really understand what the interference was. If they thought this was going to help Hillary Clinton, it certainly didn't. But this meeting that's at the core, that's now been reported, where Quinones, Redding Quinones, apparently to try to get a litmus test and pull the team together and make sure nobody else noisily quits. Wait till we get those two assistant U.S. attorneys to come on Legal AF. I invite either of them. They haven't been disclosed yet. I invite either or both of them to come on Legal AF for an interview. If anybody knows them, if they can hear the sound of my voice, if anyone knows them, reach out to me. We'll onboard them, bring them on, and let them brief they're heroes. I want them to brief the audience here. But how do I know? Because the whole scheme and scam has been revealed. Mike Davis, who's a former Senate aide, who's a MAGA sweetheart. They all love him. He's bragging on social media about justice is coming, showing a photo of himself smiling with Jason Redding Quinones. Is that what you're supposed to do, Mr. Redding Quinones? Under the Florida bar, under the oath that you took, you're supposed to be parading around with political hacks, which gives a sense to the general public that you are not being fair and impartial in your execution of the Department of Justice guidelines or manual or the principles of federal prosecution. Is that what you're supposed to do? Pose for photos and let Mike Davis take it from there? Now, we all know Mike Davis has been going after and has been a pitfall. We thought Mike Davis would actually be in the government. You know, he's talked about Letitia James and her weight. He's gone after all the political enemies of Donald Trump on his social media. Mike Davis is somebody to focus on. He should be investigated. But instead, he's the one suggesting or demanding who should be investigated and leading the charge so Donald Trump has some sort of deniability. But he's been caught. And we're going to continue to follow what this means. We're watching Jason Redding Quinones, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. You should be abiding by your oath to the Constitution under the Florida bar, under the federal bar, under the principles of federal prosecutions, under the Department of Justice manual. I know that there's reporting that you were found to be incompetent when you were a junior prosecutor, but now that you somehow got the top job, we expect more and better. And the Southern District of Florida federal judges, I assure you, will not have it. I'm not talking about Aileen Cannon, but a lot of the prosecutions happen at Fort Lauderdale and in Miami, and they're headed by some very fine federal judges. And if Jason Redding Quinones wants to rip the integrity away from his own office, I think federal judges will have the last word on that, as will grand juries and as will juries. I'm not even sure if you pull a grand jury up in Fort Pierce, you're going to get Barack Obama indicted. But that's what they're trying to do. And if I were Aileen Cannon, a federal judge, just the appearance of impropriety, the appearance that she's being manipulated by the Trump administration, the appearance that her integrity has been challenged, that the reason that they're picking her is because they think she'll be favorable and bend over backwards from her. Just that reporting alone would lead me, if I were her, to disqualify myself, to refuse to take the case, to recuse myself. Then the case would be rotated somewhere else within the Southern District of Florida, likely Judge Middlebrooks or Judge Rosenberg up in West Palm Beach. That's what should happen. We're going to watch closely about it. There are ways to file things against various people here to keep them honest. And we will continue to promote honesty and integrity here on Legal AF. Thanks for joining me. Hit the free subscribe button. Come over to Legal AF via Substack and help us grow that community as well with a paid membership. That's what keeps all this reporting on the air. I got Adam Klasfeld right now, All Rise News, on a train down to Virginia. So he's first in line to get into the court tomorrow about James Comey and Letitia James's motions to get Lindsay Halligan bounced as a prosecutor. These things matter, but this is how you can support us. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm. dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.